So I'm guided to share a little help today that came from Claudia in Bolivia. Okay, so this is about her asking for help with her sons. And this is, feel like sharing because so many of you would love to see help for other people or in your life and around the world. And we can do that. Those of us that know we can do it, we can do it. So here's her story. In 2011, when my son Wilbur was 16 years old, I had some problems with my husband. Wilbur began to rebel. Many of us have had those experiences or know somebody that has. First, he let his hair grow very long, dressed in black with skulls on his chest. He did not speak to us anymore, did not eat with us at the table, went out in the evening, and arrived home very late in dubious company. I had to pick him up every day and wait for him until he was ready to come to me. Control, right? They called me from school and informed me that he'd left class twice without permission. I was told of his association with boys with behavioral problems. One day I tried to talk to Wilbur to get him to rethink everything and to behave better for his own sake, but that turned out very badly, and I was confronted with threats. It was a showdown between us. Yeah, lots of parents have had similar experiences. After about 6 months, his younger brother, Henry, who was 12 years old, started to grow his hair long and dress in black and started to act the same way as his brother. He met with boys his own age who also behaved badly. In April 2010, I had belonged to the Bruno Gruning Circle of Friends, but my two sons had not been introduced. So I started to ask God during the community hours to help my sons find their way back to the right path. How great was my surprise around November 2011 when my son Wilbur entered the house completely changed. He had short hair, was well groomed, and dressed appropriately for his age. With a smile on his face, he greeted me with respect and love and embraced me without saying anything. This is how the suffering caused by him ended, and from that day on, he's been an excellent son. After about a month in December of 2011, my youngest son told me that he was going to the hairdresser the next day. Since then, he has changed his behavior and is a good son again. My sons are now good students and good sons who listen to me and respect me. This is how the hell of seeing my sons on the wrong path ended for me. Once again, I give thanks for the teaching of Bruno that helped me find peace for myself and my sons. Before I read you the psychologist commentary, I just want to say that just because, long hair it's a perception. It's the behavior. It's what she saw that changed in her sons. And these words of the right path and the wrong path, sort of get people, can get them in a battle mode, right? One way is right, one way is wrong. When we realize that the natural way is when you're filled with joy and happiness and an ever abundance of and desires to contribute and be vibrant in life. That's the natural way. The normal way for a lot of people is to go down this mental anguish, to experience other things, because through those experiences, you can choose to feel that sense of more joy, right? So I personally look at it as, you go into the forest and you need to find your own way because you have to have your own experiences so you can choose what one really relaxes you, what one really lights you up and you just want to be joyful. What is the events and the circumstances in your life that bring you peace? And that's the natural path. And that's, as a parent, we want our children to feel that sense of freedom and feel natural. The normal path is to feel like there's something outside yourself that you're always, that's judging you, right? Including parents, kids feeling their parents are judging them. That's normal. That's not natural. Natural is you inside you're worthy and you're loved and you're appreciated for your uniqueness and your wonderfulness. So the amazing part of this story for a lot of people is that it just seem to happen without her sitting them down, without them taking to a psychologist, without them, you know, setting structures and boundaries. She just kept asking. And we all have that power to ask for the world we wish to see, for the family we wish to see. And when we focus on what's natural, what we want to have happen, versus looking at what's normal and going, oh, I wish that wasn't happening. I wish I could change that. Why is he acting that way? All our energy is going in the opposite direction. So we make more of that happen. When we let go, give it all away, and open up to what you want to have happen, that you can trust and believe that it will happen, then all of a sudden one day it shows up and you're like, wow. And then you start to realize it always shows up. And that's the world when you have mastered the art of letting go and opening up and receiving the healing streams, the presence of what truly is always been present. Source consciousness has always been here. It never changed. Its essence is still there. Only your perception, your filter, gives you a completely different experience. And that's why right now in the world you can see such different polarities in some cases, but I do believe most of the people in the world are in between those two polarities. And it's their experience right now that is going to more or less, their choices of what world they wish to see is what is going to happen over this time. So for those of us that know what can happen when you let go of what's normal and find what's natural, you have the power to hold that thought and beingness in your words, your actions, and your emotions every day. And you are the lighthouse that's lighting up the world. Here's what the psychologist had to say. The clothing style and bad behavior apparently seem to be inclined to the so-called emo scene, a very common form of a certain youth culture. Such clothing and lifestyles have a huge drawing effect, especially for young people. It's about communal spirit within the group and identification. Claudia's two sons were able to distance themselves from this youth culture without apparent external cause, and then cultivate an open and fair relationship with their mother again is quite unusual, not to be expected from a psychological perspective. Dr. Troon, psychologist. And isn't that the amazing thing? When you have a psychologist or doctor, that's what this medical scientific group is about, that gives you a contrary opinion, if you've always wanted to listen to these so-called experts, you can listen to them and they're saying, I can't explain it. I don't know why it happened, right? However, what I do know, if I'm a scientist and I'm observing, is that what they did differently was they opened up and they absorbed healing streams and they let go of what they thought was normal. Let go of the perception. Scientists, doctors, practitioners, every one of us that has an alternative perspective have been sharing that perspective. We've been sending up the light all year round. And for most of us, we have been completely censored. Okay. And it's amazing to me to be a witness to this. What you will find in your heart is your inner guidance. And your inner guidance is always going to broadcast to you the truth. So you'll know the truth, the light, the way. It'll come through you, what you truly want to acknowledge for yourself, because what you're feeling and what your experience is completely different than mine. So have a beautiful day. Lots of love.